Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN 2, Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje. We're going to talk about our best bet play that is currently for purchase on Wagertalk. Link down in the description. Take a look at the Wagertalk page. They have fantastic handicappers there. It's March Madness. There are some great free picks on there as well. Take a look. That's also why I am doing this today, dropping the video on Wednesday instead of my normal Thursday at 9 o'clock. Reason is because I want to watch some of those Sweet 16 games that are on Thursday and on Friday. So I definitely want to take care of this and get this video out to you guys. We're also going to talk about a couple free plays. There's a few that I do want to talk about here. Definitely found some value. I think that we could look to cash in. So we'll definitely talk about those as well. And I am going to be attending this event with my wife. Really excited about it. I go to so many of these events, but every single one of them always really just brings it. And if you've never been to one, you really need to go to one because they are amazing. If you love this sport, live is just 10 times better. Being in that atmosphere, being in that energy, it's just really amazing. I know that there are a couple of you going. I talked to a couple of you on Twitter that will be there. So, hey, if you see me, give me a what's up. And, hopefully we got a couple winners here that we're going to talk about. And this card's great. This card is really a great card for ESPN. It's on the main ESPN, not on the app or the Plus or whatever else there is there. It's on the main one. It's going to be a great card. The main card is great. A lot of good fights. And then even the prelims. You got some really good fights in there, some interesting fights that I'm really looking forward to watching. And seeing that main card live is really going to be outstanding. So what we're going to do is we're first going to talk about our free play. Now, our free play is between Michelle Waterson and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And now, for me here, when we're taking a look at these fights, this is not going to be ESPN or, Luke Thomas, who gives all these statistics and these analytics and these breaking this down. For me here, what we're trying to do is we're taking a look at two fighters where the price is not going to be where we think it is, where it's actually going to be in a spot where there's going to be good value for a fighter that we believe has multiple paths to victory and has the opportunity to go out there and win. And the price is not reflecting what the ability of the fighter and the advantage that that fighter has in the fight. And now, really taking a look at it, that's what this is about. So we're not going to be diving into all of these statistical things. Yes, that's a part of it. Yes, piecing it together and seeing who's got multiple paths to victory and where there's opportunities for that fighter. Of course, that is going to be part of it. But again, it comes down to the numbers that we're looking at that really put it all together and really put the value on that fighter. So we're taking a look here, Michelle Waterson versus Karolina. You got Michelle, she is 16-6. You've got Karolina, she's 12-3. Karolina has a minus 144 price tag on her. And you've got Michelle Waterson, who's plus 122. And I thought it was very interesting that this fight here, which I always do, is I always like to take a look ahead of time. Now, whatever it is, I'm looking down the list of fights that are coming up, and I like to put a price on the fighters. Now, I always like to do that, and I suggest people do that because it gives you a better feeling of where this line or where this fight can go. Now, the reason also is because when you take a look at the line, all of a sudden, you're really swaying another way because the line is that way. Or there's you thought, oh, this guy would be the heavy favorite, and all of a sudden it's the other guy, and you're saying, wait a minute, what am I missing? A lot of times you're not missing anything. The point is that really the lines are set where the lines are set. And now those are where you're looking to find opportunities. And we could take a look, before we get into Michelle Waterson and Karolina, we could even take a look at our last few. The last one that we talked about and I did not have a show, but I did give out the free play on Twitter. Follow me at Mr. UFC Vegas. Was Anthony Pettis versus Wonderboy. Now, this fight here, nobody gave Pettis a chance. And yes, Wonderboy looked fantastic. He was really doing his thing. But you had Pettis, who was a plus 460 as a past champion in the UFC. To me there, that's just way too much value. That doesn't even make sense to me. Of course, Thompson has the advantage. There's no doubt. He's long. He's going to be bigger. He's definitely going to have the opportunity to outstrike him. But they're both fantastic fighters. A plus 460 to me is a fighter that has literally no chance. Not a Pettis, not a past world champion that still has a lot of time left in his career. that was a play that we did give out. We did cash in there. And it's the same thing with Jorge Masvidal versus Darren Till. You got, again, people were giving Masvidal no chance. And again, I looked at this fight. These are two back-to-back 50-50 fights to me that were very close. And for me, when the lines are that close, I love taking the plus odds there and letting it fly on that point. And you've got Masvidal, who was a plus 210. There, to me, it almost made absolutely no sense. We're Till, not much experience, very good fighter, and I think could go further within the UFC. But you got Masvidal, experience on top of that, his striking, the camp he comes from, so many positive things from Masvidal. Able to cash in there as well too, but the point is that when the fights are close, I love going with the underdog. That doesn't always work, and it's not like the only time I do that is when you find the right opportunities and the right fights when you're looking at a card. Now, back to Michelle Waterson and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Now, again, you've got Michelle Waterson plus 122, Karolina minus 144. Now, you take a look at these two fighters, and the first thing, obviously, is that Michelle Waterson and her karate. I mean, she's the karate hottie, and what she is good at is she's great at standing. She's got that striking. She's able to really work those combinations. Good cage movement. Her legs are like tree trunks. She fires off hard kicks. She's really able to do a lot of great things standing. Now, the thing that she's been able to really do fantastic is starting to work in her ground game and really level changing. And that's something that, yes, she was able to do a little bit earlier in her career. She ended up finishing Paige Van Zandt by a rear naked choke. That was a big play by her. Paige Van Zandt is doing more of modeling than she's doing fighting at this point, but she had a nice victory early in her career. And then she had back-to-back losses against Rose Namajunas, who is the current champion, and then she also lost to Tecia Torres, who's a tough fighter as well. Two tough fighters, and both of these girls, in Karolina and Waterson, both of them fought elite fighters literally since they've been in the UFC. So they definitely have losses, but against some very good fighters. But the last two fights for Michelle Waterson, her fight against Courtney Casey, who's long, lanky, she's more of a journeyman a little bit there, more of a gatekeeper. She'll win one, lose two, win, lose, kind of back and forth kind of thing. She's able to go out there and get that victory over Casey. But I think her fight against Felice Herring was a very, very big sign for me here on what I like, what Waterson's doing, how she's elevating. Now, in that fight, you've got Felice Herring. She is a bull. She's got some decent striking, but she's, really looking to dirty box, get in tight, even take you to the ground. She has strength. But the thing for me that I really start to like a lot about Waterson is her underrated strength. Now, a lot of people don't really take a look at her strength. And she, again, I pointed out the size of her legs. She's got a lot of strength behind that. But now she's able to, like I'm saying, tying in the level changing really makes it difficult for a lot of these fighters to really see where these attacks are coming from. Where, again, you've got someone who is a karate expert. They're more inclined to have the space. You've got someone like Darren Till. Like Wonder Boy. Same kind of thing. Wants the space. Wants to be able to use his karate. He's a fantastic karate artist. Does not really have any other side to it. And that's what Waterson is fixing in her game. I think that she's really able now to level change and really keep the opponents guessing, which has given her an opportunity to go out there, continue to evolve, and to get better and get wins. And now that goes into Karolina, great kickboxing. Everybody knows that, that's where she, she likes to stand and be out from the outside. She fought a lot of tough fighters. She lost to Gadelha. She lost to, Jacek. Two great fighters. She ended up beating Felice Herring also in a close split decision. But her most recent loss was an absolute brutal knockout against Andrade. Jessica Andrade landed an absolute missile on her face, dropping her out cold. That was probably one of the most brutal female knockouts I've ever seen, maybe next to when Ronda Rousey got knocked out by Holly Holmes. I mean, it was Holly Holm. It was an incredible knockout. But to me, that's a big question into this fight is, where is Karolina mentally? Now, she's had losses before, but a loss like that can make you very timid going into the next fight. Now, it's not like Waterson is this, she definitely has very good striking and she's strong, but she's not a knockout artist. She's able to go out there and either grind it out or go out there and get a submission victory. So for me here, when I'm taking a look at these two, I think the big difference maker in this fight is going to be the pressure coming from Waterson. Now, I think that that's going to be something that she's going to be able to push forward and really smother when she needs to Carolina. Now, of course, Waterson can stand outside and trade with anybody in the division, but I think that that's going to be a great path to victory for her, where she's going to be able to steal some rounds. I think she's going to be able to get in tight, get her to the ground, get Carolina up against the cage, and if she doesn't get her down or up against the cage, of course, she's got the ability to even outstrike her. But I think the strength, I think that she continues to push forward throughout that fight. I don't see as many opportunities for Carolina. Now, the price tag here, you've got Carolina at -144. I think that this fight for me here should have been actually the other way. I think that Waterson should have been the favorite, probably about the same number, maybe a -140 for Waterson and a +125 for Carolina. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Here, I'm thinking this is fantastic value on Waterson. I think that she has a lot of different ways to go out there and win this fight, and the way that she mixes it up is going to be very difficult for Carolina. If they just stand outside, I think there's going to be, hey, it's going to be close. But how well Waterson has been able to really put it together, level change, and her timing on her level changing has really been great. I mean, she's able to really throw a quick strike and dive right down for a takedown. I think it's really going to be something tough for Carolina to defend off of. I like, as my free play, Michelle Waterson at +122 in the main card of this weekend's UFC event in Philly. And another one I wanted to talk about very quickly is a lean that I like as another play, and it's between Josh Emmett and Michael Johnson. Now, this fight, you've got two guys that want to just stand in the middle and throw bombs. So this is going to be a great fight to watch on the main card. Really excited to actually just see this fight. But looking at it on a betting perspective here, you've got Josh Emmett. He's 13-2. His current line is +106. You've got Michael Johnson, who's 19-13, and he's -124. Now, obviously, we know Michael Johnson, you know, he has fought some of the top-level guys, same kind of thing, but been a journeyman. He's lost a bunch. He's won some. He's knocked out even, Dustin Poirier in outstanding fashion. But the thing that you take a look at Michael Johnson is, I mean, he's 3-5 out of his last 8 fights. That is something that, you know, it doesn't tell the whole story, but it's definitely something that you've got to take a look at. You've got Josh Emmett, since he's entered the UFC, he's 4-2. And off of his last 2 fights, now that's something that I really want to focus on when breaking this down. I don't want to dive too much into this one, but to break it down. And to really look at this, you've got Josh Emmett, who came out and had an unbelievable knockout against Ricardo Lamas. I mean, that was another brutal first-round knockout that, I mean, it was one of the top knockouts of the year. Great knockout for him, big win for him, and really kind of put him on the map there. And then he had a great fight against Jeremy Stephens. And Jeremy Stephens, we all know, he is a tough fighter. He is, you know, another guy who has been through some absolute wars. Now, in that fight, although Emmett lost that fight in a knockout, definitely was an intriguing fight there. But that first round, Josh Emmett looked great. He ended up dropping Stephens twice, I believe, in that fight. And he was really starting to almost get overconfident in that fight. And that was where it almost, he lost his focus in that fight. Instead of just going out there, keeping his focus, working his combinations, doing what was working for him in that first round, he went into that second round looking for the big, brutal knockout, and it ended up going the other way. And against a guy like Stephens, that's what he wants. He wants you to come forward, and he just wants you to swing wildly, and one of you guys are going down. And Jeremy Stephens is a kill or be killed kind of fighter. Josh Emmett, I think, has a lot of power. He's shown it. But, you know, that's when you're going right into the game plan there. I think if he's a little bit more, pulls back on those emotions, I think that he's got the skill set to do fantastic. You've got Michael Johnson on the other side again. You know, he had and even the guys he's beaten. You've got, he beat Artem Lobov in his last fight. He ended up beating Andre Feely before that. And then he had 3 straight losses back to back. So, it's not a tell-all again looking at that, but you look at what's really going on with these two guys and what they're going to be able to do here. And the thing for me is when you've got Michael Johnson, who's going to be moving forward, who's going to be looking for the brawl, I think that Josh Emmett has just seen that with Jeremy Stephens. And I think he realizes how poorly he fought in that fight where and you go back to that first round, he looked great. He looked confident. He had his head, he had his wits with him. He was doing the right things as it pertains to a fight against Jeremy Stephens. And in that second round, again, he just went the other way. So I think in a fight like this, I think that this is a fight that Josh Emmett should actually, again, I think he should be the favorite here. I like Josh Emmett at plus odds. Obviously, it's very close to a pick 'em as it is. But the fact that Michael Johnson is minus 124, I think this is a good price on Josh Emmett. I think he goes out there in this fight. I think he's going to get the knockout. I could see like a second round knockout for him in this fight. I think he gets the job done in the main card of that event. That's another lean that I like, another play that I like here. And the last one I want to talk about here, which I will sprinkle in as well, is Kevin Holland. Now, this is a very sneaky fight here. It's one of the opening fights on the prelim. And I think the reason, again, this is something that I like is this is another fighter that the UFC wants to do well. The UFC wants this fighter to do well. This is just another guy that I think that he's young. He's 26. He's got a great skill set. And I think he just brings a lot of value to the UFC and really just filling up certain divisions. I think the UFC they don't want to smother these guys. They want these guys to grow. And I think this is an absolutely winnable fight for Kevin Holland in this fight. He's minus 196. I think the price is pretty good. I think his skill set is good. I think what he's able to do overall is going to be able to be too much. I could see another knockout win for him here. But again, even before that, he lost to Thiago Santos in a decision where he actually looked pretty good, and Thiago Santos is looking at a title fight possibility. So there are a lot of great things to like about Kevin Holland here. So I like Kevin Holland as another play for me early in the card. And there you have it. So our free play is going to be Michelle Waterson at plus 122. I also do like as a lean Josh Emmett plus 106. And Kevin Holland also at minus 196. I think that's great value. I think that should actually be around minus 300. I think that's how much a separation he has between him and his opponent. So there you have it, guys. I will be at this event. Very excited about it. And again, for those of you, that have been participating in the comment section and just talking on Twitter and just continuing to, grow this community, I appreciate it. Again, take a look at my pick on Wagertalk, and, we'll have the prediction show out on Sunday. And please, comment. I always like to continue the conversations down below. Give it a thumbs up because I always appreciate that as well, and it keeps the channel growing. And that is it for the prediction show. I'll see you in the next one. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show.